Hello, on this video I'm going to talk about the C strings versus C++ string. I'm going to open my Visual Studio and then create a new project. I want to choose C++. And now I'm going to clean up this just a little bit. So first I'm going to write some code here for the C style string. So the C string is a older way for us to create code. The more modern way, the C++ string. But first I'm going to create some C string, and then I'm going to show you some pain points that at least I have with that. And then after that, I'm going to show you the better solution. All right, so for the C string, there are many ways for us to create that. So the C string is a array of characters. There's no a string class for C style string. It's just an array of characters. So one way to create that is to create a character pointer to a string. So I'm going to call this str1. And then you cast a string, give it the string, right, the literal. So I'm going to call this the ABC string. And you need to cast a pointer right there. So now we have a pointer to a string. So that's one way to create the string. So the other way is by create a array. So I'm going to create here a string, let's say 2, and then I'm going to create an array, and then this equals, and then the literal constant here. So that's another way to create the string. So now let me show you a couple of pain points that I have with this thing here. So for the string 2, if I see out the string 2 here, let me fix the namespace. All right, good. So if I want to display the string 2 here, it displays great. So I have this ABC, no problem. But if I want to display now the length of that string, I need to use the string length function, and that will give me the length of the function. Notice that string length is not a function of our string. It's a separate function. So that means the C style string does not keep track of its own size. So we have to rely on external function to get its length. So if I run this program, now I have ABC, the length is 3. Now I want to write a little bit more code here, and now I want to use another function. And instead of string length, I want to use size of. So now I have a little bit of confusion because the length is 3, but the size is 4. Now, this is important because every string, it ends with the null character, which is this character here. So this thing here, in reality, is not ABC. In reality, this is ABC, and then the null character by the end. So this is why the size of is 4. And this is because the ABC is actually ABC plus a null character. And that happens with all strings with C style string. So because of that, it's a little bit confusing that the length is 3, but the size is 4. Now let's create the string in a different way now. So instead of creating like this, I'm going to create with the actual number here. So usually when we create array, we can create with the size of the array. So in this case, if I put 3 here, now I get a problem. Because remember, even though we have 3 characters, the size is actually 4 because it has a null at the end. So if you want to create a string, a C style string with 3 characters, you cannot put 3 here. That's an error. It will not compile. So you have to put 4 here. So now once you put 4, now this is going to work. Again, for me, it's a pet peeve of mine because it gets confusing for people. So you're putting 4 here, but the length is only 3. So this is very confusing. All right, so the other way for us to declare a string is, instead of putting the literal constant right here, I can just put a curly braces and then put the individual characters there. So A, comma, B, comma, C. Now if I do that, now it's gonna work just as fine. So ABC length is 3 and size equals 4. But then we do get this squiggly right here. And the squiggly here says, look, the string 2 might not be 0 terminated. In other words, might not be null terminated. Because when I create this string here, I am setting the actual values. So this is a little strange. So to make it this better, I'm gonna put a comma right here, and then I'm gonna actually add the null terminating character. So once I create the null terminating character here, the warning goes away here on line of code. So adding the null character here makes it a little safer, makes it a little bit better. So now if I run, I do get the same results. Length is 3 and the size is 4. But remember, the last character is a null. All right, so I'm gonna erase this code here, and then I'm going to show you how to copy strings. So I'm gonna create a string 1 here, and this string is going to be Gary. And the other string is Japan. All right, so how can we copy? Oops, I need to change the number here so it's 2 different strings. So how do we copy a string? So one way to copy this string is to use a function called string copy. This function is actually deprecated because it's not safe. So they did create a new function called string copy underscore s, and that's a safer function. So do not use this function here, use this one here because it's safer. So the way you copy this is by, it's not finding the string copy, it's because I am not adding the header. So let me add the header right here. All right, so make sure it's including the string.h, and this is used for the string copy or string cpy underscore s, I believe. All right, so finally we can get to use the string copy. So I'm gonna copy the value of the string 2 over the string 1. So this copy the string, the str2 over str1. In other words, the contents of string 1 will be destroyed, just the contents, and we're gonna copy string 2 over string 1. So just by curiosity, I'm gonna see out both the string 1 and the string 2 before the copy command, and then I'm gonna do the same thing after the copy command, so we know what's before and what's after. And I'm gonna put an extra end line here just for some spacing. But now there's a problem right here, so I'm gonna run this program and we're gonna see what the problem is. So when I run the program, it prints the 2 values before, but right when I'm copying, I have this problem right here. And this problem, if you look right here on the expression, buffer is too small. All right, so the buffer is too small. That means when I'm copying the contents of string 2 over string 1, the contents of string 2 happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the length is 5 and the size is 6. And Gary, the length is 4 and the size is 5. So that means this string here is too big to save on this one here. So it's not going to work. So the way for us to do that is to make this string here a little longer. So right now this string here is length of 4, but size is actually 5. So in order for this string here to be created, if I put 4 here, which is the length of Gary, this is not gonna work. Has to be 5, because remember, it's the null terminating character. So this is gonna work, but the string copy still is not gonna work, because once we try to copy a bigger string into the smaller string, we're gonna have the same problem, which is the size. So in order for this to work, I gotta put 6 right here, because this is where Japan, which is size 6, is gonna be copied over by this command right here. So now, if I finally run this program, now the values before gets printed correctly, and then the values after gets also printed correctly. Notice that the string number 1 did get overwritten, and we lost the value of string number 1. Now one question is, can we switch this? I'm going to put 2 here and 1 here. In other words, can we copy the string number 1 over number 2? This is size 6, and then the length is 4. Can we copy something that's size 6 over size 6, but the length is different? So can we do that? Well, let's find out. So you run this program, and yes, we can. We lost Japan, but we get Gary twice now. So the whole point here is that as long as you have space to do the copy, you will copy. Now, there are many other functions and many other ways that you can manipulate the C string, but no matter what you do, always pay attention on the length and the size of your C style string. All right, so now let's move on to the C++ string. So I'm going to remove everything here, and I'm going to put C++ string. So in order for us to write the C++ string, we need to include now the string. So this is the C++ string class. Now note that I said string class. So there is an entire class dedicated for strings only in C++. It makes a much better solution. All right, so I'm going to declare a string using C++ type string. For that, because this is a class, I need to put here the string class, then the name of your objects. I'm going to put here a str, and then the value that you want. So I'm going to put here a literal constant. And this constant is going to be called like and subscribe. So this is one way for you to create a string. Now the str is a object, and it's very important for you to understand that, because with the object, it comes with a lot of functionalities, a lot of functions from the string class. The C string is not a object the same way that the C++ string is. You can also create a string like that, str1 and then pass a value here. I'm gonna put the value banana. This is okay as well to create a string. And when I print the values, I can use the couts and print the string. Works great. I can also print only a index of the string. So let's say if I want to print only the index 0 of that string, I can do that as well. So now it prints only the L. And this is the same thing that you can do with the C style string. This functionality here of printing individual characters from the string works both on C++ and on C style string. Both of languages are zero indexed languages. So the first character will start with 0. So what happens if I print the string 1 now? But if I print the index number, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What happens if I put index number 5? I get the last A. And what happens if I try to print index number 6 now? I get something right here. But if I try to print 7, I have a problem here. It gives me an error. And then the error that I get here says string out of range. That means it's out of range of what we have here. However, when I run with character number 6, it does not give me the error. Why is that? It's because C++ strings are also secretly terminated with null. So I can prove that by put an if statement right here. So if the string 1 at position 6 equals null, then I'm gonna put a message right here saying the position 6 is null. Else, I'm gonna put it here, not null. So run this program, and then once I run it, it says the position 6 is null. So C++ string is also terminated in a null character. I'm gonna put a smaller string here just so it's easier to count. I'm gonna put index number 2, and remember, index 0 is A, index 1 is B. Both language C and C++ are zero indexed languages. That means an index will start with 0. So A is position 0, B is position 1. So if I try to print the position 2, I'm gonna get the null, and then I'm gonna do this again with position 2 here. And that prints the null right here, and then the if statement says, in fact, that is null. So I have a 6 right here, but this is actually 2. All right, run again, and we get position 2 is, in fact, null. So remember, C++ string are also secretly ending with no character. Now, if I want to know the length of the string number 1, when I was doing this with C style string, I had to put the function right here before for me to get this length. And the function, if you remember, was a string len. That was the function. So if we try to do here on the string length cuts, if we try to do here on the string, on the C++ string, this is an error. It's not gonna work because this function here does not expect an object. So How do we get the length of the string on C++? Well, because the C++ string is an object, whoever created that gave us a function that gives you the length of the string. And because it is an object, I can use the dot notation right here. So once I put the dot notation, there is a IntelliSense here that shows you all the function that are available for this string. So there's a bunch of functions right here, including some operators. So let's get the function they called length. So this function length gives me the length of the string. So if I put here length, so the length of a string 1 is going to be 2 because I only have the letters A and B. Now the length is 2, and if we were working with C string, as you recall, the length was one number and the size was a different number. And the size of the C style string were just one number over the length in most cases, right? Unless you created something large in the beginning. But the size of this string here, and I'm going to use the same function that we used before. So the size of the string is going to be a quite different number. So the size here is 40 and the length is 2. Now why the heck this size is 40 and the length is 2? Well, that's because this is an object. It's not actually getting the size of the entire object. So it's not accounting for the whole actual size of what it stores. Well, what if instead of having AB here, I'm going to have more than 2 characters. Let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 20, and I'm going to have 40, and then another 20. So this is giving the length of 60. Hopefully I did it right. So there's 60 characters here. So if I run this program, I have the length of 60 because, well, guess what? There's 60 characters stored on that string, but the size is still 40. So this function here is getting only the size of the objects, not the size of the items that are stored on that object. So because of that, size of for a C++ string is quite irrelevant for us. We don't care about the size. All we care about the length. Now let's do some copy now. So I'm gonna put this here back to Gary, and then I'm going to do some copy right here. The copy is crazy easy. So one of the ways that you can do this is just say, hey, string 1 plus equal the string. That's all you have to do. So because it is a object, and because whoever created the C++ class enabled us to do operations like that. So this operation means the string gets copied over the string 1. So if I just see out this string, now I have 2 of them together, Gary, like, and subscribe. So this is super easy. Or you can create a third string and then create a third string equals that string plus the string 1. So that works just as fine. And I'm going to print the string number 3 here. So it copies. So if you want to copy multiple times, you can do that as well. So we can do this plus string plus string. So great. Yep, you can do that. So you copy the string and the string number 1 multiple times, put everything together, and then store on string number 3. That works just as fine as well. There is a very large amount of functions and functionalities and properties that come with the string class, and that makes it crazy powerful for you to work with strings. Now, there is no way for me to show you all the functions that you can use with the string class. You will have to search the internet for those, but know that this is crazy powerful. So let me show you a couple of more here before I end this video. So let's say this is a number 123. Now, cut. So let's say I do have a integer equals 123. And then I want to store the number 123 into my str. However, the str obviously it's a string and the x is an integer. So there is a way to convert the integer into a string. So the way we do that, I'm going to put some str here equals toString. That's a function that will convert a integer to a string. And if you notice right here, and now if I print the string, now you have a integer that gets converted to a string. So this 123 here happens to be a string. All right, so another thing you can do here is do some comparison. So I'm going to create a if statement, and I'm going to say here, hey, if str equals 123, then I'm going to print here I got 123. And if I run this program, I got 123 prints because the string is doing a comparison right here. Notice that in this case, you have to compare to a string because str is a string and 123 at this point only got converted to a string. So if you try to use a integer right here, this is not going to compile. That's why you have this red squiggly here. It's not going to compile. So this is a string because it got converted to a string. Like I said before, there is no way for me in one simple video tell you every functionality that a string class has. It is just too large, too many functionalities. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.